What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back, everybody. Today we're working on our video editor. So the pitch is I stream, I record these videos of me programming, and then I upload them to YouTube. Those videos can be pretty long, and so it might be interesting to see, can I like trim these things down into something that's like a little shorter, a little more condensed, a little bit more like YouTube friendly. I don't know if I'm going to actually like doing that, but I want to at least see if that's something that's like interesting. And I popped open a video editor and tried it in like Linux, KDN Live, and it was going to take me like fucking forever. And so what I want to look at is, can we make this easier by writing some software, right? And so what I'm kind of imagining is, this is our little ASCII mockup because we haven't actually like made the thing yet. But what I'm imagining is, we have like our typical video player with a video timeline on the bottom. Here's the video on like kind of like the left side. Here's me in the corner, like you see in your screen, and then here's like my to-do list over here, and here's like the terminal emulator. But what's unique about this is that on the right, I want to auto-generate a script of what I said during the stream. And I want the script to be tied to playback. So in the same way that I can click on the timeline to scrub the video, I want to be able to click on the script to scrub the video as well. And I want to be able to select text from the script and say that mark these things as like included or excluded in some way. And I also want those things that I select in the script, maybe they get like set as like individual clips that will get like truncate or combine into one mega clip at the end. And I want to be able to like drag those clip start ends on like this timeline and this script at the same time. Whatever. And so what we're looking at today is kind of working towards this UI. So what we have right now is we have a video player that can take a video, play it with audio. Pretty cool. This is, we've gone through a little bit of changes since previous implementations of this. This is using a Rust GUI framework called egui. And I'll get into like the reasons why we're doing that in a second. But he spawns an OpenGL context as part of his boot up sequence. All of the rest of our application is written in Zig, other than the GUI. And so the OpenGL window in Rust will ask our Zig application to draw frames. Our Zig application is like constantly pulling this like video file from FFmpeg and saying like, I want the next frame, next frame, next frame. And when he gets one, he like injects it into the OpenGL callbacks, renders the frame. So that's where we're at right now. And today I kind of want to add, well, there's like a bug here where egui does this like nice little helpful thing where he will basically only render video, like changes, if something that happened. So if you're like wiggling your mouse over, the video plays fine. But if I take my mouse completely off, he's going to say, whoa, there's nothing happening. So there's no point in me redrawing. So the first thing I want to do is fix that. That's pretty straightforward, I think. But it just means that we're going to have some sort of like reverse path from the Zig side to the GUI side. Right now, we can only update frames, but we can't really pipe any other information back. So we have to fix that. Then I want to fix the fact that like right now, if we crash in our main thread, the GUI doesn't really have any like understanding that happened and will just stay open forever. So I want to make it so that if we make a major error on our main thread, then like the GUI closes, the application shuts down, everything like that. Then we can get into like some of the more interesting stuff like actual UI features. So I want to be able to pause. We had pause implemented on the previous implementation, but that didn't get ported over. Then I want to add like an actual button. This will be the first button that we have in our UI, which will be very, very exciting. And then I want to look at like progress/seeking behavior. So I want like to get like the little bar in the bottom that you click on. And if we get through all of that, we can do volume control, but I don't know if we'll get there. We'll see. We will see. Are you writing your own codec in OpenGL? It's not like our own codec. So FFmpeg is giving us decoded frames as YUV. And we are displaying those through an OpenGL buffer, and we're doing a little bit of like conversion between YUV and RGB as part of that process. But we're not like running our own codec. Don't computers have hardware codecs nowadays? Yes. I don't think we're using them right now, but it does seem like we could be because if we have a buffer on the GPU that has the data that we need, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to like shove that into OpenGL and use it directly. But I don't know. There's maybe not really any point in doing that if it's not expensive to do the decoding on CPU as we are right now. Really depends. We might take a look at that in the future, might not. Okay. So let's just start with like the simple. Simple is let's get egui to redraw. So that's kind of like an intentional egui feature where, what the hell? Hold on. Lib. What is all of this? Oh, hold on. There's a leftover folder from previous stream that I need to get a bunch of shit out of. So just nuke this whole thing and then. Oh, there we go. That looks a lot better. I left early yesterday. Did we get the shaders running? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay, so egui intentionally does not re-render if he doesn't have to, which is fine. But we just have to look up how do we make him actually render. And I think there's this thing that we can do called a request something. Request repaint. Here we go. So call this if there's need to repaint the UI, i.e. if you were showing an animation. So I think what we should do is every time we feed a new frame in, we'll just tell egui, hey, could you please repaint? Also, why Rust and why Zig? Okay, so, right, I forgot to get into that. So the reason why we're using Rust and egui here is specifically because the only reason for this is in this script, right, that we're going to be displaying on the right, I want to basically show some form of progress bar, right? So if we're at this part of the video, I want this to like move every frame, right? This cursor is going to like move through the text. And in order to do that, we need to know exactly where in the text, we need to know, given a text location, where in pixel space we are. And I looked at like some GUI frameworks that made more sense on this, like to use from Zig. Anything that's like C, C++, Zig can compile fine, doesn't need to pull in a new language. But I looked at like Qt, Nuclear, Deer, IMGUI, Raylib. All of them, they didn't really have an easy way to lay out text and figure out what the coordinates of each character were. Which will make doing things like rendering this cursor hard. It'll make doing things like changing the color of this stuff to indicate that it's in a clip. That'll be a little more difficult. You could in Qt at least like inject tags. So if I wanted to put like a red cursor here, I could maybe do something clever like shove in like some sort of like inline rich text stuff and then render a pipe in there. But I don't really want to do that because that requires every frame relayouting the whole script, which is like stupid. I don't want to do that. What else? Yeah, and then the other GUI frameworks like just didn't expose they also didn't expose anything like that as far as I could tell. You could do like manual layout of text and then just handle it yourself and treat it like an image, but I didn't want to deal with that. So that's why we're using egui, is because egui has this galley type where you can say like, hey, before you render the text and paint it, could you lay it out? And in here, he has like every row has the position of every character that was rendered, which is exactly what I need. Also, I'm like familiar with it, so it's got that going for it. Zig, there's no real reason other than like I like it right now. Okay, sorry. So there's background. So what was the thing? It was called like request repaint. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that like our main thread in Zig has some way of calling this request repaint function, which is on egui context. So I think right now our interface between the two languages is essentially only this, where we just call this function GUI run, and he'll start up the GUI, he'll like start up eFrame, get the OpenGL context, whatever, but then he'll just exit, and when he's done, we're done. What we need is we need to get some sort of like handle to the internals of this guy before we start him, so that we can like pass that handle off to a second thread that will like call functions on it. So I think what we're gonna do is introduce the idea of this like GUI structure. And I have these like type defs at the top that just basically say like, hey, from the perspective of our API between languages, we don't care about the internal details of any of these guys, but we should still name them so that we know which guy to pass to which function. But really, everything is just a void star because we're not accessing internals of anyone through the other side. It's like only opaque pointers. I think we're going to do something like GUI star is GUI init. Which means that we will have to have some sort of GUI free as well, which will take in a GUI star. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. And then the GUI run will take in that same GUI, but not really sure how much he's going to use him. I guess this is where we're going to populate the context inside. Then what we want to do is we want to have some sort of function that's like notify GUI force, or I guess we'll call it like Uh, request repaint. This feels like very specific to egui, which is not something that I really want. Oh yeah, side note. Those of you who have been following along, there's been this new feature implemented. So, what is it called? So when we run our linter scripts, we run like the application through Valgrind, just to make sure that we didn't do anything like stupid, like forget to free some memory, do like any like obvious memory access violations, stuff like that. And running egui, like running like the full GUI through Valgrind was like very expensive, and caused like a lot of like noise and false positives and stuff. So what I did the other day was I added this mock GUI, which essentially just like stubs out the OpenGL interface and says like, we're not going to do anything in the OpenGL interface except for track allocations and deallocations, so that we can make sure that like everybody who calls like create shader, make sure they like delete the shaders as well. And then we just do this thing where we don't display anything, but we do call like we do this like simulated main loop of the program, which is pretty sick. Pretty fucking sick. So we have actually 2 implementations of the GUI. And what this will let us do is when we actually start adding more features like pause play, seeking, and volume control and stuff, we can just like execute some sequence of things that we want to run in our linter script, just like as a mocked out GUI for an integration test, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that concept. So I was bringing that up because I was going to say typing GUI request repaint feels very egui specific, which isn't really what I want here. I kind of want something that's like a generic GUI interface that happens to be implemented by egui, which is like maybe thinking too far ahead, but whatever, because I want to be able to swap out egui for something else later if it makes more sense. So probably we should call this like GUI notify update. That seems more reasonable. Like, hey, if you want to do something with this information that we changed some stuff in you, or like we've updated you in some way, please do that. And I think that makes sense. That seems reasonable to me. So now in the Rust side, it's kind of confusing that this is a GUI star and we're calling this our like actual eFrame implementation GUI as well, because I don't think that I want those to be the same thing, because this guy's only constructed once eFrame starts, which is only constructed when GUI runs. So maybe we'll rename this existing GUI to like eFrame impl or something. I think that's fine. And then we'll have like a new struct GUI. Strut your stuff GUI, struct GUI. And in him, he's just going to have like an egui context, so that when we call notify update, he can update this guy. And I guess technically this won't necessarily be set until the GUI starts running, because egui doesn't really spawn anything until we're in our main loop, which won't happen till GUI run. And then maybe we'll call this GUI inner, because I guess it makes sense to like mutex protect this thing. So maybe we'll do something like what is it? Type GUI is equal to mutex GUI inner, because like we're going to be accessing this guy from multiple threads, so it makes sense to stick him in a mutex. Which means here we can do something like thread mutex. Is that what it is? Sync mutex. Making game is waste of time. Making software games is really waste of time. Dude, what is going on? First of all, everything is a waste of time to some extent, right? I don't know what you even mean. Do you think that like playing games is not useful? Do you think recreation is not useful? We're not like machines that can like just go forever, right? Oh, so you think playing games is not a waste of time, but making games is a waste of time? I think that the idea of wasting time is like so incorrect. Like, no offense, but I think like just the idea that like your time should be spent on anything in particular seems crazy to me. Right? Like, what is your life for? Like, I don't know. Like, I think that anything that you need to like assign meaning to stuff, I guess. And if you're like, I have some goals I want to accomplish, and anything that's not driving me towards that goal is a waste, even in that like view of the universe, surely sometimes you need to relax, right? Because the fastest way to accomplish your goals is to make sure that your body is like in a good state, and part of that is relaxing. You could learn to write a web browser or something. What makes a web browser more valuable than a game? Why would you waste your time on making a web browser when Firefox and Chrome already exist. Okay, it's better. Okay, it's a crazy take, but I guess sometimes people disagree. But that's insane to me. You could spend your time solving world hunger. Sure, yeah, but there's just like, I mean, there's only so much everyone can do. I don't know, man. That's crazy. That's wild. Also, like, why come into a chat and say that? What are you, like, are you just trying to be like, do you think that we'll share your views and that's why you're saying, I don't know why people talk, I guess. I struggle with that sometimes. Not you in particular, just in general. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going. So we're gonna have some sort of function exposed to C called he just wants attention. Yeah, maybe, and I gave it to him, and that's on me. So we're gonna call GUI init, and that's gonna return some sort of pointer to a GUI. Const GUI, I guess. Makes sense to me. Guess it doesn't really matter. And this is gonna be like box new GUI new. Which is going to require a GUI inner. GUI inner new, who's gonna have some context, which is none. And then this is gonna have to get leaked. Yeah. Expected const GUI mutex inner. I forgot to delete that semicolon. And this isn't GUI new. This is just GUI inner like this. And then GUI inner is more private, so I guess we just expose this shit, because whatever, I don't give a shit. Technically, that's more correct, even though it's not really publicly exported. We're exporting it as a pointer, and that's like kind of publicly exporting it, so sure, why the fuck not? And on free, we're gonna have to take in our GUI. And when we free, we're going to like take our leaked pointer from before and like turn it back into like a Rust smart pointer and then immediately drop it. So I think that goes like this. And I guess we could like explicitly drop this just to like signify intent. But even though it's like completely unimportant, it might be nice to say that. He doesn't like this for some reason. Why not? Oh, because he needs to be mutable? Sure. So we'll just say that we export him as mutable, even though I guess technically that's correct, because like as people use him, when he gets passed in here, he'll be mutable like this, right? Okay. Okay. So then, when we missed another function that we need to stub out. What was it? It was a GUI notify update. So this guy is going to this is, let me just set this as GUI is a mute GUI who returns void or nothing, and we have to say you're a pub extern C function. And in this case, all we're gonna do is we're gonna say GUI lock unwrap. This has to be unsafe, I guess. And then once we've got the lock, I guess we say let GUI is equal to the locked version, and then GUI.ctx. If this is populated, we call ctx request repaint. And this is if let, I forget how this language works. This should be a little borrow, or maybe a borrow here. Yep. And then all we have to do is populate that thing. So I guess it's in here. We'll pass in... I guess we'll do something like this. Yeah, okay. So this is now... We need to like take the context and populate the thing we passed in with it. So... Hold on, what's it complaining about? Oh, this needs a little returned here. And then here we can say GUI context is equal to some cc egui context. Yeah. Okay, I think this all makes sense. No field CTX on type mutex. Oh, so we need to lock this as well. So we just do this. Boop, 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 boop. And this has to be mutable. And this has to be cloned. And I'm pretty sure this is legal because I think these egui contexts, if I remember correctly, have like shared references, like are use an arc under the hood. How can we check that? You can just hit source here. Yeah, it's using like an arc RW lock under the hood. So once we have him, we can just clone him and ship him to wherever we want. Which is great for us. Okay, so that actually might be it, to be honest. I'd be surprised if this worked, but pleasantly surprised. Okay, so now over on the Zig side, we should be able to like construct a handle to our GUI. And this is now going to call GUI init, like this. Defer GUI 3, I think it was called. Prevent any leaks. And then we should just be able to pass over our GUI handle to our main loop. And then here we use the GUI. Which means in our main loop, hey, what do you think about replit? I think I've heard of it and looked it up several times, and I can never remember what it is. Never remember. AI-powered software development and deployment platform for building, sharing, and shipping software. I hate marketing, man. Like, I'm sure whatever they're doing is fine, but just like, god damn, man. What a tagline. What does it do? So it's like a online IDE that code completes for you with AI. I don't know. I really like in the most respectful way possible, don't care. Like I think that like online tools are useful in some way, right? Like having Godbolt online is like I don't know, I use it. It's nice to have it here, but like in reality, I don't think your development environment experience should be tied to the internet. Like that just seems wild to me. And I guess some people are fine with it, but you know, I'd way rather work locally. And I don't really know what their pitch is, so I shouldn't really talk about it, I guess, because I'll sound like an uninformed dumbass. And who wants to be a dumbass? Me, but only sometimes. Only in the ways that I want to be a dumbass, you know? Alright, so this is a GUI, and we can now probably do something like, every time we update the frame, every time we swap the frame in, we should be able to do something like GUI notify update, and pass in the GUI. L:*Q gave me a shoutout to 133 viewers. Thank you. Does that mean he's here? Shoutouts. What is a shoutout? That's different than a raid, right? I guess so. Well, I guess if he's here, he'll hear me questioning and then we'll explain it. And if not, then thanks anyways. That's nice. What a nice guy. Okay, so theoretically, if we did everything right, which was certainly we didn't, when we run this, we should see the bug go away. Where the bug is that the frames don't update. This guy needs to be a question mark star C GUI because in C, the C thing that is returned could be null, which is fair. In Zig, pointers cannot be null, which is a sick improvement. Oh, dude. Oh, it feels so good when it works, man. I was not expecting that. So, just for reference, what we just fixed was, if you guys forgot, was if we take away this notify update, oops, I have to unwrap for the GUI if I do that. The screen only updates when I move the mouse on top. And now we have this GUI handle that we can interact with, and we can tell them, hey, we swapped a frame, and please keep up to date. Oh, that's it looks so smooth. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, that was shockingly easy. I was expecting harder, to be honest. Expecting harder. Okay, so the next thing to do is, if we run this with invalid input, what happens is that our main thread crashes, and our GUI just stays open, showing like a green screen, which is kind of funny. He should close in this case. And now that we have this handle to the GUI that we can interact with, it should be pretty straightforward to just huck in some extra functions. So we should be able to do something here like GUI close. Let's think about this. So we could do GUI close, and this will like ask him to finish, which is reasonable. But I wonder if it makes more sense. So if we're going to be doing like adding state that we ship to the GUI, like hey, this is how far into the video we are, here's our pause state, like we're probably eventually going to be shoving in some sort of GUI state, which will have something like, hey, I'm paused, and like like video time and video position, right? And what I'm imagining is we'll probably like feed this in to the GUI here. Yeah. And he will just kind of like hold on to a reference to this guy. And what we're going to do is we'll probably like update the members of this and then notify an update. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And so I'm bringing this up now to say like, I wonder if it makes more sense to be like, add close as like a member of this. Like, hey, we want you to shut the fuck down now. But I think I don't like that. So we'll tackle that when we get there, and for now, just add a function GUI close, which the Rust side has to implement. So GUI close, what's he going to do? He's going to have to do something that triggers an iframe app exit, which I don't know what that is, actually. I don't know how to get out of iframe without closing it. I wonder if it's from egui or iframe. Probably iframe, where egui is kind of like the widget drawing library and iframe is kind of like the application infrastructure around that widget drawing library. Probably on his like frame type, there's probably like some sort of close on here. Info. No. Okay, let's check egui. We'll check egui. Close menu, close pop-up. Context. Okay, is there like some sort of like close thing on here? No. I don't see anything really. Can we look for like search close here? Clone. It thinks that I typed clone. Exit. On exit. How do we get here? Called once on shutdown. Oh, okay. They're calling it shutdown. So maybe there's a shutdown in the docs somewhere. No. Egui request shutdown. What is this going to be? How to close the window in egui. This doesn't look like what I want, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't look like egui close shutdown, maybe we'll call it. Intercept shutdown. I'd like to have an egui window hide completely, not what I want. This must be possible. Right? Am I high? I guess we can just go into the source code. Fuck it. Fuck it. I know that they have a on exit function, so we can just fucking start there. Who calls this? Self app on exit. Save and destroy. And then save and destroy. Okay. So save and destroy is like an interface function. And is this like an exported thing? Event result exit. Okay. Okay. Winit app save and destroy. Which comes from event result exit. Event result exit. Who emits this thing? There's like winit close request. Integration should close. Okay, wait. Should close sounds promising. So the winit stuff, this, wherever it was, this guy that says winit event close request, that's probably like somebody clicked on the X on the window. But it looks like they have like another thing that says like, hey, I'm going to ask the integration if I should close. So where does that come from? Pub function should close, self-close. Okay, who sets this? And what struct is this on? This is on API integration. Who sets this? Self-close is true. Who comes from like an update loop. And this is if close requested, which is raw input viewport close requested. Is this the right path? Looks like this might not even be an iframe anymore, which maybe is on the right track. Ooh, viewport command close. Request the viewport to be closed. This is promising. So who can we, and this is like a public enum. You can send a viewport command with context send viewport command. Okay, so this looks promising. It looks like probably we're supposed to use context send viewport command and then type close. Which seems like we actually don't need any more state in our program. We can get away with what we have already. So if we go back to lib, which is already open somewhere, we already have an egui context. So it sounds kind of like we can just do let GUI is equals star GUI lock unwrap. Which we fucked up the closing brace here. And it looks like we can just do send context send. Fuck, I already forgot. It was viewport event in egui. Where did the docs go that said we can send viewport send viewport command? I'm worried that this isn't auto-completing, but that is okay. And then we will do viewport command close. Sure. He says that doesn't exist. Oh, because we haven't, our thing is optional. So if our GUI is not running, then this will not work, which means that there's probably a race in the main thread here, which is a little concerning. Because, like, let's see. Let's draw out the little sequence diagram. So we're gonna have, like, I guess we'll call this, like, decoder thread. I guess no, we're not gonna draw a line. We're gonna do one of these lines where we have decoder thread with an arrow on him. And then GUI thread, which is also our starting thread. And down is time. Time goes forward in the down direction. So I think that what happens here is we call init and we get a GUI handle whose context will be null at this point. Then we pass our GUI handle to the decoder thread. And what we're trying to say is if this guy does some shit over here and fails, he's going to call this close function. Now, at the same time, we start the GUI. GUI run. And this populates the handle to the GUI in this guy. He populates the egui context and injects him into the handle. And if this doesn't happen fast enough, then this close call won't happen, which is a pain in the ass. We almost need some form of wait. So it's you want to do something like a GUI wait start. Right? That seems reasonable. Then, on the main thread, we won't have this problem. And then we can actually even get a little crazy here, where this guy could return true on success and false on failure, which is going to use a C bool, I guess is going to be his return type here. And then we can ban people, instead of guarding this stuff with if let sum, we can just say fuck you if you lied to us. You know? But I guess there's not really any good reason to do that. We'll just do this. GUI, wait, start. Okay. And unimplemented. I don't know what we want to do here yet. It's probably going to use like a mutex and a bool and a condition variable, right? This guy's going to say like is started, which I guess is going to just be flagged by if this context is set, right? Then this is already mutex locked. So I guess all we have to do is attach a condition variable to this thing, so that the wait start can like lock the mutex, check the bool if the bool is already, or check if the context is already set. If the context is set, then he can continue. But if it's not set, then he waits on the condition variable until the other thread launches it. Yes. 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 Okay, that makes sense. But we'll come back to this in a second because I want to wrap up whatever else we were thinking about first. Let's look at like the zig side. Main.zig. So with this new thing that we added, essentially we're going to go here, and we're just going to say GUI wait start on the GUI. Yeah. Seems reasonable. And we'll just put a note here. If main thread init fails, we need to cancel the GUI, we need to close the GUI. But if the GUI hasn't launched yet, it will miss the shutdown notification and stay open forever. And then we just defer see GUI close with the GUI. Yeah, so in any case where our main loop exits, we just shut down the GUI. That seems reasonable to me. Sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Does everything build here? No, of course not. Why would it? So it's because I added that GUI state struct but didn't finish with it. Right, so this goes away. And unknown type name bool. Oh, because this is a void function anyways. We did not return a bool there. Also, bool, I guess you need to include stood bool for it to work. Which is kind of fun. Fun little C thing. C-ism. Okay, and then surely if we run this now, it will just crash saying that it's unimplemented. But let's try to simulate the failure case here. So, say we do something silly, like, basically, after we spawn this, we just sleep on this thread for a little bit. Right? So this is going to be like, let's sleep for 1 second. So this is in nanoseconds, so this should be 1 billion nanoseconds. And so if we wait here, the decoder should launch and fail before we get to the GUI run, and we should still see the same problem. Yes, see? Okay. And now if we take that out, we should see it work as expected? No, because the GUI might actually take too long to launch still. Let's put that 1 second sleep at the start of the main loop. Just to get everything lined up. Yeah, okay, so that's working correctly. We see the GUI correctly close. If we take out this defer GUI close, it'll just get stuck open, even after we see the crash in the bottom. So that's really good. Very good. So now we just need to make sure that in this case, we also want to see the same behavior. Yeah, because we missed the notification. Okay, so we just have to implement GUI wait start, which is something like how do condition variables work again? I forget every time, which is so embarrassing. But you know, it is what it is. So I think that you have to have a shared condition variable that is accessible from both threads. He's going to lock the mutex and then pass the lock into the condition variable and say, hey, like I will unlock this thing and you will let me know when I can lock it again because somebody else has notified you that they've changed the state. Okay, so convar is just kind of sitting around out in the world. Which means that what we should do is we should change this GUI type. Instead of just being an alias to a mutex, he is going to need to be a struct that has both a convar, which is in some area here. Where is this? Stood sync. Convar. They don't consider... That's interesting. They don't consider var a second word here. I would think that convar stands for two-word condition variable, not one-word condition variable. But I guess it is what it is. I'll probably get that wrong every single time. Every single time. No, but that's okay. Okay. So now when we construct this guy, we actually have to make a GUI... Instead of calling GUI new here, we call GUI. We say inner is this thing, which is getting really unruly, by the way. What an awful statement. Okay, let's do this. Let GUI is equal to this. That makes way more sense. And then here, we'll just box leak, box new GUI. Okay. Side note, I feel like it's crazy that in Rust, there's no... How do I say this? There's no way to just allocate something on the heap. Like, I've hit this before where if you want to just, like, make a box of some, like, if you want to make, like, box big-ass array, the only way to initialize this is by initializing it on the stack and then copying it into the heap. And so if your big-ass array is, like, 8 megs or bigger, then you just can't do it without, like, really dropping into some, like, wacky unsafe Rust. That seems wild to me. I'm like, so surprised that there isn't some way around that. I mean, there is. The way around it is you allocate the thing as a maybe uninit and then manually populate it using, like, Rust maybe uninit rules. But the maybe uninit rules are, like, really hard to, like, they're not really well defined as far as I could tell. So, anyways, just an aside. Okay, so he's going to have, this has to be a let inner is equal to this. And this is going to say inner is mutex new inner, and then cond is convar new. Like, populate with static data. Like, if you just want, like, a zeroed out big-ass array. Like, I know that you can do, like, vec 0, a million, into boxed slice or whatever. Like, sure. But if you have, like, a structure, if you have, like, struct ASDF, and inside him he has, like, big data, which is, like, a million... What's the slice syntax, the array syntax in this language? Like, a million I32s? I don't remember how to do Rust arrays. How do you instantiate one? Here. Yeah, like... What is it? It's this. I32, 1,000, like this. If you had this, and you had, like, other data with it, this is, like, very fucking hard to allocate. Yeah, sorry about the zoom. Fixed. I always leave it at, like, whatever resolution suits me, but I think it makes sense that I should just by default zoom in a couple. Because obviously other people want to look as well. Because that's why you're here, maybe. Who knows why you're here, but maybe. Okay, so everywhere we call GUI.lock now, it has to be GUI.inner.lock. And then here has to be inner lock, and this has to be inner lock. And then... Oh, he's mad again because it's in public. Fine, fuck off. Okay. Then when we wait for start, we're going to do this thing here where we lock the thing. And we're going to say if GUI CTX is some, we're done. Everybody's happy. We have successfully launched. Otherwise, though, we don't need brackets around ifs in this world, this language. Otherwise, we are going to whatever the fuck they did for this convar. It's just right while this actually is while this is not some, while this is none, because spurious wake-ups caused by signals, etc., etc., etc. We say GUI is equal to GUI. This is confusing. We'll call this inner, like this, and then inner is not. Let me say inner is equal to GUI cond wait inner unwrap. I think this is it. Fine, we'll dereference it. What a little whiner this guy is. I love the pronunciation of no mango as a non-native English speaker. It sounds like no mango. Yeah, that's pretty funny. No mango. This has to be mutable so we can reassign it. And then otherwise it looks like you might be happy. And so if we run this test again, we should see the GUI window close. No. That's also like nothing. The error case just isn't happening. Oh, because he's stuck in the wait loop, probably. Oh, right, because the other side has to say that he's fucking done. Derp, 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 derp. Right, so right, so wherever we set this guy, we're probably just getting stuck here? No. Oh, here we just have to say GUI dot. Okay, this is gonna be inner. This, and then we'll just say inner dot GUI notify all. Right, because maybe there's multiple people waiting. We don't know. We don't know who's waiting on us. Maybe we're sending it to multiple threads. And then maybe that fixes it. So here the GUI starts. Well, first he has to finish compiling. What is he doing? LLVM emit object is taking so long. This is usually pretty quick. I wonder what the variance is coming from. My guess is disk. It's always disk. Yeah, like whatever the fuck is happening there. I should have, let's is there something just like in my background just eating disk for no fucking reason? Oi, 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 oi. This is so frustrating. I hate it when this shit happens. Okay, wait, but that's a good sign. It does look like it worked. Yeah, so it is correctly now closing in that case. And let's just go back to our main.zig and just double check that if we remove that wait start, we should get back into the state where the GUI gets stuck open. Yeah, all right. All right, works for me. Works for me. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, now we're getting into the interesting stuff. Like adding pause. Okay, so I think the way I want to structure this is that the GUI can like report to us some amount of actions that it will do. And we can wait for we basically every iteration of our main loop we'll check and say like, hey, is there anything that we have to do right now? Which is kind of like maybe saying like, while, well, if we were doing this in Zigland, we'd say like while GUI next action, get the action, and then like do action, right? But we have to do C interop here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do something like let action is equal, or not let, var action is going to be some like GUI action, and he's going to start as undefined. Or maybe we'll initialize him as none. C GUI action none. And then what we can do is we can call in a loop while true. So what parts of this use Zig and which parts use Rust? Everything is in Zig except for the GUI. Because we just needed a GUI framework that happens to be written in Rust. But everything else is Zig. RWX Rob. Big Raid 43. What's up, you guys? What's up, you guys? So for context, for you new people here, we're working on a video editor that I want to attach a script to it. So the idea is that we're going to run my VODs through a neural network that will generate subtitles and attach those subtitles to timestamps, and then we can display the whole set of like the whole script on like the side of our video player, and we can like scrub the video player by word instead of by like time. That's kind of the idea, and then we'll be able to do stuff like clip different areas, etc., etc. But that's kind of the goal. And what we're at right now is we have the ability, hopefully, if everything is set up correctly, to play a video. So this is Big Buck Bunny playing in kind of like this like wacky GUI setup where we have, this is a Rust GUI framework, but all of our application is written in Zig. So there's a little bit of like fun C interrupt going on there. And also Zig is doing this like rendering of video frames and sound playing. So there's kind of like some like double interrupt shit going on there, which is pretty fun. Pretty fun. Hope you guys had a good stream over there. RWX Rob, check him out. What were you guys working on? Because if you plug what you're working on, maybe these people that were sitting here will be like, ooh, that's interesting, and they'll go take a look next time. So plug what you gotta plug. Boring GitHub Actions. You gotta work on your marketing, man. You can't come in here and say what I do is boring. You'll never get viewers. Enterprise work stuff. Okay, so like GitHub. I understand GitHub Actions. Are you working on like a GitHub repo and then you're just setting up some actions so that you have like nice little CI? It's pretty cool, pretty cool. Have I shown you guys? Guys, I have like this wacky Git setup. I don't know if I've shown this to you guys before. So I put all of my Git repos locally, and you can set up hooks in your Git repos to run code on push. And so what I do is I push all of my code to my own local Git repo, and then after the lints pass, then it mirrors it to GitHub. Isn't that kind of fun? It's like a fun little trick you can do that I learned about at some point. Anyways, that's like what I do instead of using GitHub Actions, because I'm too fucking stupid to like I'm like, I don't want to like figure out like where's their code gonna run, where's this, like I get like that's very useful in a lot of contexts, but when I'm just like, it's just me, it's pretty sick to just be able to like, I run it locally. I run the lints. Fun little CI hack. Anyways, that sounds cool. Sounds cool. You guys check out RWX Rob if you feel like it. I can't tell you what to do though, so, you know, if you want. Okay, so we were in the process of trying to add actions to the GUI in some way. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to have like some sort of like enum GUI action. How do you do enums in this language? I think this is right. And then here we're going to start with set shift width for tab stop equals 4 expand tab. We'll start with none, which indicates that there's nothing else to do. And then we'll also say toggle pause state. That feels reasonable to me. Feels reasonable to me. Having trouble because I'm developing a window manager and it hijacks the keyboard, so every now and then I type shit into the void. Dude, I hate that so much. I think it's like such a mistake that we let programs steal focus. Like, because often I'll like, dude, fucking disks suck, by the way. I mean, like, they're pretty cool because they store stuff. But like, when I boot Windows, I have it on like an actual hard drive, not an SSD, and it takes so fucking long to boot. And so like, I'll like launch something and I'll be like in Firefox typing stuff, and then all of a sudden Discord will pop open like 45 seconds later, and it's just like, why the fuck do I want the loading screen of Discord to eat my keys? Obviously that's not what I fucking want. Oh, just like anything where it's like I'm typing a password and something else steals focus pisses me off so much. I think it's like such a bad design decision. But you know, okay. So let's just double check that I understand the like C zig interrupt correctly. Bro, make a freaking spending goal. How the fuck do you have an OS on hard drive? I mean, it's not like I can't afford an SSD. I just don't want to plug it in. It's also because I don't really use Windows very often, so it's like fine. But yeah. C uint has no memories. Oh, interesting. So how do does it C none? So I probably have to, oh, right, because in C, I forgot. Oh, geez, I forgot in C that all of the enum members are like public. So this should be GUI action toggle pause, and this should be GUI action none. And then here we say GUI action none. It's been a minute. Are the games on HDD? Yeah, which is really funny too, because I only installed Windows because when I play Apex on Linux, the shader compilation is so fucking slow that like it's like unplayable a lot of the time. So I installed it on Windows and then found out that it has all the same problems, which is very funny because like my hard disk is just trading one problem for another. The shader compilation on Linux is slow because Vulkan DirectX translation is slow, but the shader compilation on Windows is slow because my disk is just like a piece of shit, which is just like really funny. It's like I kind of expected to like boot into Windows and play a game and have no problems. I was like, oh, there are just problems here too, because all software is shit. He's claiming that GUI action none doesn't exist because I didn't save. I always skip shader compilation, no difference in game performance. At the very least in Apex, it's very noticeable. Like the stuttering is awful, but also I'm like pretty sensitive to that kind of thing. So it's like pretty micro, like I would call them like micro stutters. Like it just feels like the game's running at like 50 hertz instead of 150 or 144, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we now have some actions that the GUI can request of us. I guess maybe we'll tackle this bridge when we get there. But when we add like seeking support, this is gonna have to be a tagged union, because like when they seek, you can't just have like GUI action seek because you won't know where they're trying to seek to. This will probably end up being like, union GUI action whatever, and he's gonna have like seek is a float, like whatever, right? But we'll tackle that bridge when we get there. Tackle that bridge? Nobody tackles bridges. Is that the saying? Cross that bridge when we get there. No. Tackle that. What are you supposed to tackle? We'll tackle that when something. What the fuck is Ludwig.guru? We can okay, whatever. It's not. We'll just stay confused. I'll be confused forever, and it's just the way it is. GUI next action. And he is going to take in the GUI as well as a GUI action pointer. Oh, I guess he could just return the action, to be honest. He doesn't even need to do this like by reference thing because the GUI action has a non-sentinel value. Do I have to type enum here? I think I do. I think in this language, C, you have to write enum unless you type def it. Yeah. Okay. Then on the Rust side, we have to expose this functionality, this new cool feature, which is GUI next action. He's going to return a C bindings GUI action. Okay. And for now, we're just going to return C bindings GUI action, or GUI action none. No, GUI action? Maybe it isn't compiled. I think it's GUI action none. And we'll just make sure that everything works in this case. Because probably bindgen hasn't regenerated the C bindings, is my guess here. But we'll see. And then we'll go back to the Zig side, and we'll say, what? This is a var action is a C GUI action, which is undefined. And then while true, we're going to say if or action is equal to, I guess this can be inside the loop as a const. Const action is equal to C GUI next action, passing the GUI. If action is equal to C GUI action none, we break. Otherwise, we print the action. So here we'll just print any action for now. We'll come back to this in a minute. So this should compile, but not found in C binding, so I wonder if this is supposed to be like prefixed. Can we go to the C bindings here? Great, it's like fucking hidden in target, debug, incremental, I guess. This doesn't look like how I remember it. This is this. They've updated their storage format since last time I've spelunked it. Oh, build. Here we go. This is more what I'm looking for. Bindings. Here we go. Oh, so they prefix it with the enum name and then underscore it. Foru. Forwiru. Foru. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Tier 3. I don't know what that means, but I think it means more money. So, much appreciated. Maybe I'll buy a hard drive. But I won't. I'm not going to pretend. I got an ad and reminder sub. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I only turn the ads on because pre-rolls turn off for the next hour, which is like really nice. So in a 2-hour stream, you get 1 3-minute ad break at the cost of to turn off pre-rolls so that people don't have to like get pissed off when they click the stream. I think it's worth it, but does not a big fan. Not a big fan of having to run the ads. But whatever. Whatever. Okay. I like the support as well. Well, okay, that's appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So this returns now, and so if we say build and run, we should just get nothing happening, which is good. So now we need to have some way on the Rust side, we need to say, hey, notice when a key was clicked and do something with it. Which kind of like sounds to me like a channel, right? So we can do something like, oopsies, MPSC. We have 2 choices here. Is we could add a MPSC channel, or we could add a vec DQ to the mutex locked thing. I think MPSC channel is fine. That's fine. So I guess that goes outside the mutex. And so calling this inner is kind of like a disingenuous name now. But that's fine. So we'll call this actions. And this is going to be a receiver of, I guess we can just use the C GUI actions directly. I don't know if they have, so they do have a GUI action thing. So we can just say, hey, we're going to receive some GUI actions. And then, of course, we'll have to fix this later, but it's fine for now. And then we will import MPSC, self, sender, and receiver. This comes from C bindings. Yep. And then here we have, let's think. So when we initialize this thing, we're going to make our channel. So it's going to come from channel, MPSC channel, like this. The actions are going to be here. And we need to put the sender somewhere as well. And I think that should go behind the mutex. I think we should have like a action sender here as a sender of, let's think about this. Actually, I think this goes in the mutex. I've changed my mind. I was thinking that it's thread safe, but it's not thread safe to call the receiver on multiple threads at once. And so I guess we don't have any guarantee of like who's going to be getting handles to the GUI. So and like it seems easier to just throw everything behind the mutex if we can. I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So this is going to be a sender of C bindings GUI action as well. And then it kind of like, if this is sitting in the mutex, then like why bother doing it this way? Right? You could just stick like a normal vec DQ under here. But I guess you can kind of dodge the mutex contention if you put this as an option. Yeah. And so what we'll do is we'll lock the mutex one time, and then we'll just yoink this shit out of there. And so we'll say like temporary sender storage. No, even then it's multiple producer. So we don't even need to yoink it. We can just clone it, I think. Multi-producer, single consumer. So this is the consumer, this is the producer. MPSC. So this is gonna be action rx. I can just name it properly up there. Action tx. ACTION. ACTION. Alright, and this goes in inner. Oopies. This comes like this. Boom, 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 dun, 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 dun. There we go. Yeah. So then what we'll do is when we'll say let action tx equal this, and then we'll just do inner action tx clone, pass the action tx here, and here we'll need to take in an action tx is a sender of C bindings GUI action. Wonderful. Wonderful. And then we can save that here. Yeah. 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 That looks nice. Looks nice. Wonderful. ACTI. Okay. So now let's just say that we need to do input handling. So it's probably like something like what? UI input. And surely there's like some sort of like iterator here or something in the egui stuff. Input state. I don't know. So there's either like in this frame, these keys were down. Oh, events. This is probably what I want. So we can just say for input. Uh-oh. I forgot my Rust syntax. I'm like, I want to say like auto event in input events, but that's C++. I want to say for event input events event, that's Zig. I can't believe I can't remember how to fucking do a Rust for loop. This is so embarrassing. For input events and event. Thank you. Event in, it's this way, right? Event input events. And then do we consume this? Or do we say probably by reference? Expected parentheses in surrounding for. Dude, am I high? Oh, it's, no parentheses. There we go. There we go. Jeez, that's so embarrassing. I'm so how long? It's been like 3 weeks. How am I so rusty so fast? Jesus. Okay, so the event is going to, we're looking for a key press. And we're probably looking for key down, space down, right? So we'll look for match event. And we're looking for egui event key. And we're looking for key is space. Space here. So this is egui key space, and we're looking for pressed true. Is this pressed as in on like down or is up? Was it pressed release? Yeah, so we're looking for on key down, and we don't really give a fuck about the rest. All we're gonna do is gonna say self action tx send, and we're gonna send the action of GUI action toggle pause. I think it's GUI action. This is this how we named it? And then here we say everything else do nothing. This is C bindings in this language, not C dot. This doesn't need parentheses in this language. And I guess we probably should unwrap this. Probably there's something more relevant or like more reasonable to do there, but unwrapping for now is fine. I guess if this fails, we don't really care. Because if this fails, it just means that we've destructed, it means we've destructed the other side, which is like a big, big no-no. So we will say expect action, what, failed to send action from GUI. I'm pretty sure that that's like a programmer error if that happens. Because I think the only case that happens is if the action Rx has been, all receivers have been destructed, which means that we called GUI free before, while the GUI is still running, which is like fucking stupid. We shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. Okay, then on the other side, here, instead of just returning none, we just say let action is equal to, oh, I guess we have to lock the mutex. So we lock the mutex. We'll call it inner here. We'll say inner dot action rx dot receive. Try receive. We don't want to block. And what does this guy return? Try receive returns a try receive error, which is empty or disconnected. So we'll just say if let OK value is equal to this. Return v. Otherwise, return. We'll do this. We just will ignore errors. I think that's fine. I'm not worried about it. And that actually might work, to be honest. So now, if we did everything right, we should see. Ah, fuck. Why is my life so hard? Lib rs72 here. He doesn't like the semicolon here. All right. If we did everything right, when we press pause, we should see a toggle pause log message pop up. It says 0, which is probably the value of toggle pause. That's a very good sign. So we can here say switch action. And if it's C GUI action none, like this, I think. Else, we have none and pause. Toggle pause. This is nothing. How do you do nothing in this language? I don't know, like this. In this language, then here, I guess we need to check that, we need to set the pause state. So it's like, I think we already have what we need. I think we have this like player state should update frame, takes into account if it's paused or not. So we just say, yeah, we have should update frame, checks if we're paused. And here we can just say toggle pause. Player state toggle pause. Because we already implemented this before. And we toggled it now. Hello, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome. Welcome. Okay, switch must handle all possibilities. So that's kind of interesting. So I guess else we just stood debug assert invalid action. And maybe even log it. If we want to get crazy. If we want to get crazy. Debug assert. Expected 1 argument found 2. Oh, I guess you can't log in the assert. Oh, because it's a panic. Oops. Hell yeah. Wait, that actually works. Hell yeah. How can I do hello world, please? My teacher, give me that assignment, please help. Dude, is this how you find information? I can't tell if you're joking. Every piece of me wants to think you're joking. But if you're not, like, how is this how you go through the world? Like, if you just type into Google hello world, do you know how many examples you're gonna get? Like 1 million. I'm sure he's joking. I'm not good to learn from internet. Dude, like, I'm sorry, but you have to figure that out. You have to figure out how to, like, resolve problems yourself. Because, like, your whole life is going to suck if you keep doing this. Like, it's just gonna be so hard. I guess that's really, I mean, why you treat me like this? Because you're here. This is my stream. I get to treat you how I want. I'm just asking for help. I mean, I'm letting you know that, like, for your own, like, I'm saying that, like, you should learn to fix that. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. It's like, I'm legitimately trying to help. Your life is going to be way harder if you don't figure this out. This is Morocco alt account. Yeah, some guy just coming in and trolling over and over again. Yeah, sorry to be rude and mean, but like, yeah, it's yeah. I just, yeah, I'm lost for words, but okay. So it does look like we're pausing, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. It does kind of seem like we get spammed with audio frame queue empty logs, because the frame queue is empty because we stopped feeding the frame queue, which kind of makes it sound like that's not really an error. We kind of just like delete that log, and then everybody thinks they're happy, and they are happy. Yeah. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now we get into like some of the first look of actual UI in our application. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So let's basically get the pause state back into the GUI somehow. Okay, I'm so sorry. I know you're just asking for help. But I don't want my chat full of people of you saying it says error when I type hello world. So I wish you the best of luck, but salute. Goodbye. There we go. He's gone. Okay. Yeah, 07's in the chat, please. Give him a little salute. Good luck on your journey. Hell yeah. Okay. What were we doing? We were trying to basically represent that's the current state of pause back in the UI. So, we need some sort of form of way to like feed GUI state or like application state into the GUI. So it feels like we could either store application state in this GUI thing, but then it's kind of hard to like access it from the Zig side. We kind of want like something that we can just directly work with. And we're gonna initially say bool paused, right? Which means we have to include std bool. And I guess this might be crazy. But I kind of like the idea of doing like struct GUI state star here. And saying like, hey, GUI, we're going to give you some GUI state. And he can just pull that state however he wants. The only problem with that is if we have like mutex, like we're updating the state from a different thread, which kind of indicates that we can't just like save a pointer to this guy and check him. Like you could, it would work, especially in this case. But it's not technically correct. So where this gets a little odd is we have like this this Zig mechanism of locking mutexes and the Rust version of locking mutexes, and both of those will go into p threads and lock mutexes. But like we don't really know that about either side. Nate, thanks for the prime, appreciate it. So I wonder if it makes sense hear me out. Is this crazy? We put a void star to a mutex, and then we'll do something like Zig mutex. Oh, this is getting saucy. Oh, hell yeah. So we give an opaque pointer to a Zig representation of a mutex. And then over here, we could do like a Zig mutex lock, which takes in a Zig mutex and unlock. Is this the way? What are my other options here? We could do like we could go the other route and try pushing events. Right? So we could do the same thing that we did for GUI actions, and we could push events that are just enums. But I kind of like the idea of there being like an owner of state on the Zig side, right? Because like usage from Zig, like just being like if we could just be like pause, you know, const pause state is equal to player state is paused, and then just like huck that over, that feels like a lot nicer than trying to model state transitions, because then we would still need to do this, but then have to be like last sent state, right? And then do like if last set state is different than the current pause state, then send a toggle pause over the wire, and then you just have to hope to God that your state is matched. So I think this makes more sense to me. This makes more sense to me, of like just having thread safe state over the bar. It's I've never seen anybody do this, which kind of concerns me, but I also haven't looked very hard, so maybe it's fine. We could also do it the other way. We could do it the other way where it's a Rust mutex. And maybe that's a tad nicer in some way, because then you don't like the drop stuff on the Rust side works fine, but we'll just do it this way. Fine. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm okay with it. The thing I'm questioning is on the Rust side, you're going to mutate that state. That might become an issue. I think it'll be fine as long as both guys are locking the mutex, right? Because like the guarantees from the operating system when you lock and unlock the mutex is that your memory is in the state that you expect it to be in, right? Like everything that happened to memory before the mutex lock or unlock is visible on the other side when you lock. So I don't see that being a problem. I wish that I didn't have to void star this, because now I have to like keep allocate this thing, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, who really cares? It's just one of those like, it would have been nice if we didn't have to. Yeah. You know what? I think we're going to do it. How do you understand the landscape of GUI libraries? OpenGL, GTK, raw server commands. It's hard to understand the trade-offs. If you're using OpenGL, are you calling it through Zig by the way of C binding? Is that convenient for you? Do you have to make a bunch of wrappers yourself? Yeah, okay, so I will say, how do you understand the landscape of GUI libraries? I would say I probably don't understand it very well. I've played with GTK, I've played with Qt, I've played with OpenGL, I've played with IamGUI, I've played with egui, I've played with, like, I've experimented with a bunch of them because all of them make me unhappy, right? If I used one and I was like, this is sick, then I wouldn't understand that many because I would have just, like, kept using that one. But I do think that all of them have, like, issues. Not issues, like, they're just not... I feel like probably what I want is, like, this just very specific thing that just, like, happens to not exist because, like, everybody else wants different things. So yeah, it's hard to understand trade-offs. I think that like my take is just I tried stuff. If I'm using OpenGL, am I calling it through Zig by the way of C bindings? Yeah, so I previously imported Glad, and just like the Zig C interop is very, very good, so that just worked. Now we have this like kind of bullshit situation where Rust is initializing our OpenGL context, and we are re-exporting OpenGL functions through the Rust wrappers of the C API, which is kind of like gross, but it just means on the Zig side we call into Rust and say like, hey, could you do this OpenGL thing for us? Which isn't too bad. It was a pain in the ass to like stub them all out, but like more because I just don't like typing than because it was difficult. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this Zig mutex thing. It's kind of wacky, but I don't think it's too wacky. So here, I guess what we'll do is we will allocate our mutex. So we'll call this a GUI state mutex is equal to stud. No, it's alloc create stud thread mutex. And then we say what GUI state mutex is equal to default initializer, which I think we have to do, otherwise the memory that comes out of here will just be like invalid. Then we need to do a defer GUI alloc.destroy GUI state mutex. And then we inject that into our GUI state. So now here we say our const GUI state is equal to GUI state mutex is equal to GUI state mutex. And pause is equal to false. Then we can pass this into our GUI init, and we can give it to our main loop. Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. Well, as reasonable as it can be for what we're doing. It feels okay. And so now we'll say GUI state is a pointer to C GUI state. Which means that here we actually have to write try somewhere because allocations could fail in this language. And I don't know why my language server isn't running. That's kind of pissing me off. But oh fuck. Do we update the lib side, the GUI, the Rust side? What sucks about what we're doing right now is that we don't type check that the Rust function definitions match the C headers. Because it did, like, I was like Googling if you could do that. If you define the function in Rust and then generate the header from Rust, then like you have one source of truth. But if you like define the function in C and then make Rust bindings, it doesn't seem like there's any like simple common way of like checking that the types match, which seems crazy to me. I would think that like that's what anybody wants to do if they're implementing a C, like re-implementing a library or implementing like a C interface. I just would expect it to go that way, but I guess not. So this guy's now going to take in a state, which is a C bindings GUI state. Did we do everything right? Maybe. Maybe not. Probably not. Oh, okay. We'll call it const. Mute. Const. I don't know which one of these is more accurate. Mute's probably more accurate. I think that's more accurate, and we'll just handle the locking manually. And then here, I guess, inside, we will just store a GUI state. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's see what happens. Are you doing anything special for the Alacrity config? Not that I know of. Not that I am aware of. Unused function parameter on the Zig side, so here we're just, I guess, for now we'll just say this is equal to GUI state. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So here he's saying, I expected this thing, but got that thing. So wherever we wrote const, when we initialize the GUI state, we should say var instead of const. That makes a lot of sense. Oh no, that should be fine. What's he complaining about? Expected type this, found this. So why is this a const point, like a pointer to a const? Oh, because I wrote ampersand here, but I don't have to write ampersand here because, oh no, I do. Oh, because GUI state is constant here. This should be var. Nice. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. All right, give him a sec. He's thinking. Did we ever finish installing IOTop? I want to know what is happening. Okay, let's break this out so that I don't undo it, like close the shell later. I want to keep an eye on it. What's he doing? God, what a pain in my ass. Because it's not CPU. Oh, maybe it is. Firefox using 100%. That's kind of odd. Okay, Zig build, and we run it. So everything's working fine. Everything is working fine. But I don't know if I expected anything to not work fine, to be honest. I don't think I did. Okay, so maybe what we'll do for now is we will flag this. We will like update the state in our main loop. We'll set the pause state. So just down here, we'll just do a what GUI state? What is it called? GUI state dot mutex. We will lock this. We will defer GUI state mutex unlock. And then we'll set the pause state. Is it called paused? I forgot already. GUI.h. Yeah, we'll just call this pause is equal to player state is paused. Wonderful. And then we need to implement these lock and unlock functions. So I guess we'll just do this like at the top or something. I don't know. Figure it out later. This is how do you do this in this language again? It's like something like export C function mutex is a zig mutex and returns void. And this is no longer called zig mutex here. This should just be called stood thread mutex. Yes, 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 yes. And this is just mutex lock, mutex unlock. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, okay, okay. And then in our iframe loop on update, let's just, for now, we'll just try getting at that state and seeing if it looks right. So we'll do something like... Dude, my brain just absolutely, like, shut itself down for a second. That's so funny. I was so lost. Okay, so we actually need to, like, save the GUI state. We actually don't have access to that here, which we need. So, I guess when we do our GUI run, that's like me, but every 5 minutes. Yeah, that makes... Sometimes the CPU overheats and you gotta let it cool down a little bit, you know? I guess we just pass in the GUI handle here. Right? Like we just go GUI like this. Which kind of means that this action tx shit doesn't have to be done here. No, that's fine. We can pass that in as well. I don't really give a shit. Maybe it doesn't make sense for it to do that. Do you use tmux? Does it help when not using a tiling window manager? I use tmux, yeah. I think that I like it. I don't know. It feels like it does seem like the job, it should be the job of the window manager to move my windows around. But practically, I find this much simpler. Simpler might be the wrong word. I like my tmux config. I feel like I'm familiar. Yeah, I don't know. GUI, mute GUI. Okay. So here, we should be able to do something like C bindings, zig mutex lock. Dude, holy shit. My brain just keeps shutting itself down. Oh my god. Okay, so this is star GUI state mutex, I think. Then unlock. And then we should be able to say GUI state dot paused. We'll just print this. GUI paused, and we'll write down this. Yeah, yeah, sure. Zig build. He doesn't like that for a lot of reasons, so this should be self.gui. Yes. This needs to be an unsave. State is a raw pointer. Try dereferencing. I don't believe you. Oh, it is. Good thing I did. Good thing. Good thing I had to check. I don't like the lack of postfix dereference in this language, by the way. It was pissing me off so much. Should be zig mutex. Do I have any tips on how to become a better developer? Develop more. That's about the extent of it. About the extent of it. Well, there's a lot of assumptions there, but I think that, you know, just making stuff gives you more experience and more context. Having more context lets you make better decisions, etc., etc. Read declaration. Read declaration. Pub export function. Maybe this will do it. Oh, it's because it's actually a read declaration. I'm just an idiot. I'm so fucking dumbass. But yeah, I don't know. I think that, like, obviously there's, like, ways to improve at things better, right? Like, if you've ever taken, like, music lessons Like the idea of like focused practice is like very, very important. But I don't know if that really, I haven't really felt like I've applied the idea of like focused practice programming. For programming, it's just like I just keep going, just do more over and over again, and it eventually feels kind of good. Yeah. I always tell people that ask me that, find something you think is interesting and recreate that, repeat that every time you become better. Yeah, I think that's important. I think the only caveat there, I guess, is make stuff and intentionally get to the bottom of it. Right? Like if you try something and you think like what's that? I think like intentionally think what's that as much as you can and like answer that question as much as you can. Right? Like instead of just being like, "Oh, I copy pasted this thing from the internet, that's why it works." Like you really have to like understand why. And that's about it. It's simple. It's simple. This needs to be dot question mark, like this. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. No field name lock in any pick. Okay, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. So this is GUI state mutex lock. We need to cast this back. I see. I see. So this has to be. How do you do cast? Pointer cast. Pointer cast. Like this. Yeah, so we'll say const mutex is equal to is a pointer to stood thread mutex. And so we need to pointer cast and align cast GUI state mutex. Yeah, yeah. Something like that. Feels like that might all work out. It's simple, not easy. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Okay. Wait. Wait, that's sick. Wait, also notice that the spam stops when it's paused. Because we stop asking it to update the frame. So we stop requesting repaint. That's so fucking sick. Wait, that's so cool. And it's actually working. That's pretty fucking sick. Okay. Okay. So I guess the only piece that's missing there is that we need a button. Little button in the UI. So that's over here somewhere. And for now, let's just, let's see. What do we want to do here? So we probably want a bar at the bottom. For now, we'll just make that bar only have a pause button in it. And so maybe we'll do something like render bottom to top. And make our pause button. And then once we get through all of that, then everything that's remaining is the video, and the video can render everything that's left. Or we could do this in just another panel. That seems easier for now. Top, bottom panel. Bottom. We'll call this controls. Show, context, UI, blah, blah, blah. And then we just slap a button in there. It's probably the easiest way to do it. And then probably what makes sense is to maybe copy the state out. Let state is equal to this. And then here we'll just say let state, again, inside is equal to this shit show. Like this. And then this should give us a copy of all the state so we can work with it without the mutex. Then we should be able to just do like state paused here. And then we should be able to say, what, UI button. And we'll just, I guess we say, if state paused. So let button text is equal to paused. Else. Oh, I guess we want this to be a button with an action. So this is going to be play, and this is going to be pause. And then we just say UI button text. I wonder if that does it. Okay, so the button's there. I guess technically we need to do something. So we're gonna say if this is clicked, we need to request a pause toggle. And I guess we actually should think about this a little bit. Do we think that we want a pause toggle when it's pressed, or do we think we want it to change, we want it to look at its current state and ask for the other state? I think a toggle is fine, because if I double click the pause button, even if I don't see it go to play first, I probably expect the unpause action to happen twice. I don't expect it to change based off of what, I don't expect it to be like, if I double click really fast, trigger once, but if I click it just a little bit slower, trigger twice. No, I think it's fine. We'll just toggle pause every time. It's fine. Okay, so if I press spacebar, that button is changing, which is sick, and if I press the button, it's also changing. It doesn't feel like it's like snappy. Interestingly, it seems consistently. Oh, it's because when we update the state, we need to ask it for a repaint. That's interesting. So here, we need to say that in this case, we need to say see GUI notify update. That's interesting. Because it was only changing when I wiggled the mouse. It's still... There's still something funny going on here. See, here it's paused, and when I wiggle my mouse, it sets it to play. So there's some sort of race here that's not happening correctly. Interesting. So here... Oh! It's because it only updates on the next iteration of the loop. So maybe we should do this after handling actions. Probably. Probably. Handle the action first, then set the state. That seems reasonable. We'll see if that fixes anything. Oh my god. Okay, what's going on? Sudo io top. Do I need to sudo io top? Oh, I don't even have sudo on this account intentionally, so it won't even work. Okay. That feels pretty good. It feels like when I release, it is... The button is like reasonably representing current state. It sometimes doesn't trigger. I think it's if I click and drag off too quickly. Yeah, I think that's just like press or if I'm not hovered over when I release, that's probably where what's happening. Yeah, feels good. That's pretty sick. That's actually like really cool. I know it's just a button, but like the stack of shit we had to go through to get here feels pretty nice. It's kind of neat. Kinda neat. Okay, let's just add in a progress slider now, and then probably we call it a day there and don't add seeking and volume control here, because I think that'll take too long. I think it'll take too long. But progress should be pretty straightforward. Progress should be straightforward. So probably in here. Oh, let's get add-u, get commit-m, or get commit-m, pause, play in UI. And I guess, okay, before we get to like the total length, or the current position, we'll have to know like the total length as well. So maybe we'll do like float total runtime and float current position. And then every time we swap the frame, we will update the position in our GUI state. So here, when we do a swap frame, we just also have to we also have to basically do this. So this has to get cleaned up. For sure, like doing this mutex shit everywhere doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's fine. Here we'll say that the current position is equal to last PTS, which I think we have flagged in seconds right now. Sure, whatever. Then we just have to flag the total runtime somewhere, which we would probably do when we parse the streams. Probably when we iterate our streams, we have audio stream info, we have video stream info. Right now we have the video stream ID. I guess maybe like all streams are kind of assumed to be the same length. There's kind of like a format info level thing that comes out of here. So let's see. We'll look at the FFmpeg format info. AV format context. Yeah, here. This is the guy that we get when we open our video file. That's kind of like top level thing. He's got streams inside for video and audio, but I think that this should have duration. Perfect. Duration in AV base time, which we've handled this AV base time thing before when we deal with PTS. So we just have to do that same logic. And maybe we'll say that our video decoder, we can just have a public function that's like total len. And he's going to return a float. Maybe we'll call it runtime or something. Maybe that makes more sense. That feels nice to me. And then we'll just look at where we do this. We just do the same thing, but for the duration. So var, oh, I guess calling this duration also makes a lot of sense, eh? So this is going to be from self, format context, duration. Cool. Then we need to get the time base from here. So before this came from time base in the stream, but this is for more the total thing. So do they have like a time base on here? No. So how do I know what the time base is? This is deduced from the AV stream values if not set. So it might not even be set. Only set this value if you know none of the individual streams do not also set any of them. Okay, so maybe we should just get it from the stream. That does seem like what they want. So instead, we will do format context streams at, do we have the video stream index anywhere? I guess we'll just do stream 0. And fix me. Maybe this should be a little less dangerous. Because it is just like generally just like hard indexing 0 here shouldn't work. But I think that we should probably bail out in somewhere else if we have 0 streams. I'm not really sure. It's fine for now. Then we go through streams and we just use 0 again. And this is a duration like this. Boom. Then here we say duration here and here. This would be actually stream duration. Let me just return that. Okay. Might work, to be honest. That actually might be all we need. Then in egui, probably what makes sense here is we will put this in like a UI horizontal. We'll put the button to the left. Expected 1, argument found 2. Oh, UI is already testing. Yeah, okay. So then we'll just put a UI slide, egui slider new that goes from state, I guess 0 to state dot total runtime is what we called it, I think. Show, how do we put this into the UI? UI, like this. So he is expecting range inclusive num, yeah, and then the value. Oh, we need to put in a state dot current time. What do we call it? What do we call it? Current position total runtime. Sure. No method in UI found for sliders. How do we use the egui slider? How do we use this thing? Oopsies, wrong one. Slider. Okay. So he's saying I use new and then UI.add this thing. I see. And I want it to like be long as fuck. Arguments as function aren't good. Let's just see. Let's see a real compile message. Oh, it should be range inclusive. Of course. Of course. This needs to be a dot dot equals. Of course. Cannot borrow this is mutable, so I can just say let mute state. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Let's see what happens. So this is doing jack shit, to be honest. Can we maybe print out what we see here? Print line. Runtime is... Well, we didn't actually check the runtime, so that's actually probably related. Almost certainly related. Where we have to say somewhere... We'll fix this later. Don't worry. Don't worry. This is obviously shit, but it's fine. We'll live. So we'll say total runtime is equal to decoder duration. Was what we called that, I think? Oh! Oh! Wait, that's sick. It's definitely... We can't seek, so it's hard, but if I pull this all the way to the end, it does seem to think that the video is 596 seconds long. Which is pretty sick. And it would look like it was moving, but it's hard to tell. I think probably what we want to do is we probably want to like show like current position over total position, like as a label on the right side. I think that makes sense. That's how I see it in my mind, so that's how it's going to be, because we can make whatever we want. Which just kind of means that we want to, before we add the slider should be the last thing that we add, because it should fill up the remaining space. So can we do like a right, like layout with layout? Can we do like a right to left here? Yes, we can. Right to left with egui align. Can we just do like default? I don't really know what the alignments are. Okay, so here we'll just do like a UI label with format A over B. So the left is going to be current position, and the right is going to be total runtime. Uh-huh. And then this goes in here. And then we have to expand the slider to fill everything, but we'll try that in a second. I just want to build and see if that looks like how shit that looks first. Okay, so we do have like it is doing what I wanted it to. It just looks like absolute fucking garbage, which is kind of funny. Okay, so we just have to like fix the precision here. So how do you do that? Like O2F or something? I don't really remember. We'll try that, and if it's wrong, then we'll fix it. We'll actually look it up. Oh my god, dude. It's fucking annoying. Fucking annoying. I don't know why, like, 1 in, like, 40 times, it takes forever. It looks okay. I think I'm okay with that. So now we just need to make it so that this bar doesn't show here. We don't want this. And then we need to make this expand all the way across. So let's do... Look at the slider docs. Oh, we're already here. Nice, look at us. And can we, like... Is there, like, expand? Size? Oh, I remember there being something, like, really stupid with this. Where it's, like, slider size. Like, there's, like, some sort of, like... global state that you have to set to get the slider to change size, if I remember correctly. Because I looked at this before, and I remember thinking it was kind of weird. Well, maybe it wasn't for the slider. Maybe it was for something else, but we'll find out. Slider. So... where does it... allocate slider space? This comes from UI spacing slider width. Yeah, this is what I remember thinking is very strange. Is like there's just like a global UI spacing on this for slider width. So here, just before we do it, we say UI spacing mute slider width is equal to UI available width. Which is weird, but oops. If it is what it is. It is what it is. Give him a sec. He's thinking. It's a hard life. Linker this time. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna have to try to reproduce this off stream because this is like such a fucking vibe killer. The fact that like compilation sometimes just takes like a minute. And this is like all it's doing is linking. Like what is it doing? It's okay. Oh, that's so sick. Look at that. Look at that UI. Oh, we lost the pause button? Probably because we need to say that it's probably like overriding it. Probably we need to say that our slider, we want to say show value false, and then I think that everything probably goes back the way it should be. Hopefully. Oh, look at that. That's so slick. Look at that! I feel like the border here is a little bit messed up. Like, I feel like you need to put a little bit more room on top. But otherwise, looks pretty damn slick, doesn't it? That's so sick. Okay, so obviously this needs to do something, right? But, I think that I will tackle that tomorrow. Because I think that what we're gonna have to do is when we jump over somewhere, FFmpeg is we're gonna have to like go into FFmpeg and say like, hey, could we seek to this position in the file? And then I don't really know how hard that is. I imagine it's not trivial. And then probably what we'll want to do is like add like a little volume slider maybe here as well. You probably want a more accurate timeline later on the right. Yeah, I mean I think this is a placeholder because I think what I'm actually going to do long term is I'm going to like replace the slider with like a waveform, right? So that when I'm clipping, I'm eventually probably going to do like what's in my head is I'm gonna put like clips that have like little handlebars, like kind of like this, and then I'm gonna be able to like drag these guys and slide them around. And so showing the waveform will let me like snap it right to the beginning of when I start talking. And then this whole thing is going to need to be like expandable and shrinkable. Right, so I'm not really too worried about this right now because like the whole thing is going to be eventually replaced with something else. But this is plenty good enough for now. Plenty good enough for now. All right, cool guys. Okay, so if you like what you saw, we stream most days at around 1 or 2 o'clock Pacific time. Or sorry, not around 1 or 2 o'clock. That's the old me. New me streams only at 2 o'clock Pacific time for around 2 hours. So if you're watching live, that's somewhere between 2 hours ago and now. We are working on this video editor right now, but we've covered a lot of other topics on this channel. So if you want to go check out what else is there, there's a YouTube link and a GitHub link in the Twitch description, as well as a Discord link where, sometimes I'll post when things go up, but I might also sometimes put comments about stuff in videos. There's a general chat in there if you want to talk about shit. I don't know. It's there if you want it. Fuck, an ad just popped. Oh, that's so annoying. Sorry, guys. I meant to skip that one. But anyways, yeah, there's stuff in here. So if you want to check out like video editor, QR code decoder, zlib, operating system, like 3D engine for our stream intro screen, like terminal emulator. There's like, some interesting stuff in there if you want to check it out. Otherwise, if you're watching on YouTube, there should be a Twitch link in the YouTube description. And if you want to swing by and say hi, that would be cool. But if not, no hard feelings. What else? We got to plug stuff. So, like, subscribe, check your Twitch primes. If you want to use them on someone. You don't have to use them on me, right? But just make sure that you're getting them used. And yeah, I guess that's it. Goodbye, YouTube and Twitch viewers. Let's figure out who to raid.